Hi there. Hob and I are absolutely 100% pro LGBTQIA plus rights. Trans lives matter. People matter. And I've found an amazing community here on YouTube, in my real life, and on Threads that are pro-democracy and pro-human rights. But yesterday, I got into a couple of arguments. So I posted on Threads. Just at the time, I think I had like 20 people following me. And it was about keeping people around you that are up for a good faith debate that may not always agree with you. And the idea behind this was, cut the people out who don't want to have a good faith debate. But the people who do, who you disagree with, keep them around, because it's the only way we learn. It's the only way we progress. It's the only way we find common ground to move forward. And it kind of went viral for me. I have no idea, because Threads doesn't tell you how many times something's been reposted or how many people have seen it or anything else like that yet. But I posted it and a couple of, there were like 20 replies. But then I saw it on my feed. It was reposted by someone who is quite well known. And that came as a bit of a shock. I've never had anything like that happen before. I mean, I'm just an idiot with a camera, right? So someone found me through that repost. Now, these two people have, things like, I want to leave the world a better place, in their bio, or, pro-democracy and, all the rest of it. So you'd think that these people would kind of go, yeah, that's true. Because in a democracy, sometimes the other side win. In a democracy, sometimes we don't get everything we want. There has to be compromise. And in order to get a compromise, you kind of have to deal with the other side. Now, I wasn't saying, and there were a lot of replies that said, oh, you can't have an argument with someone in the Trump cult, or, you can't argue with stupid. Okay, yeah. Those people aren't reachable. And even if they were to debate, they aren't looking for a good faith debate. Look for people willing to have a good faith debate, is what I was saying. And it was a lot of Republican talking points from a leftist point of view. So, oh, you can't argue with these people, they want to wreck democracy, blah, blah, blah. And it's like 70% of Americans are just like everyone else, right? They want a better place for their kids. They just disagree on how to get there, and they disagree on things like the wording of the amendments and stuff like that. But you can reach them and you can have a good faith debate. And there are plenty of people on on Threads, unlike Twitter, that have come forward and gone, yeah, I'm a former Republican, or I'm a Republican, but I believe in these things. Like the amount of people with in their bio saying Republican, but the law and order kind, those are the people you can have a good faith debate with. But these two people decided to go on the attack and say to me, things like, are you honestly willing to have a good faith debate? Because usually when someone says that, they just want people to agree with them. I like a debate. Even if at the end of it, we decide to agree to disagree, I like a debate. I like to learn. I like the intellectual exercise. And there have been people that have changed my mind. It's a genuine good faith debate. But these people turned it into something it wasn't. They were cherry picking what I was saying and trying to twist it. And that made it really hard. But the reason I kept going with these people was someone had the bravery to reply to me and say, there are some people you cannot reach. There are some people that you cannot have a good faith debate in. They were brought up in a very conservative household where indoctrination against the LGBTQ community was a big thing. There was a lot of hate and a lot of bigotry. This person is trans. And they spent the vast majority of their life being told who they are deep down inside was wrong, was against nature, was any number of things. And one of them completely denied this person's lived experience. And that really got to me. Because I've had that. I've had that. I think most of us have at some stage. How dare you tell this person when we have the stats, when we know how damaging that kind of household and rhetoric can be? How dare you come in and say a debate can't hurt you? What someone says cannot do damage. You've got people like Josh Hawley writing a book and going on a book tour saying that men have lost their masculinity because they're no longer controlling women. That's damaging. It's damaging to society, and it's damaging to domestic abuse survivors, people who manage to get out. You're encouraging their abuser to keep going. That's another person out there somewhere that is going to meet this abuser and not realize that that's what they're getting into. You're emboldening people to keep doing what they're doing, and it's against the law in pretty much most countries. That is damaging. That rhetoric is damaging. Words matter. And denying my new trans friends' existence and what they've been through, and saying that it doesn't matter what your triggers are, words can't hurt you, debate can't hurt you. It can. We live in a world where one person has managed to gather a cult in the opening, like wide open, everyone can see this. You've got one person calling their supporters to action and sending them to Barack Obama's house, to Nancy Pelosi's house. So yeah, words can harm. They can trigger people emotionally. They can do an awful lot of damage, and they can incite people to act. If you are emboldening others, if you're denying someone's lived experience and emboldening others, we've got a problem. And these talking points are what the fascists, what the far right extremists are saying. But these people are using it from the other angle. They're no better than the people inciting the violence. And I carried on arguing because I wanted this new friend to know that there are those of us that have their back. Sometimes it is really important to argue back, not because you're going to win, not because you're going to sway anyone's opinion, but because someone is watching. And that person needs us to push back, needs us to say, hang on a minute. We have the stats to back up this lived experience. We know that this is damaging. We know that trans youth are in danger. We know that non-binary people have their existence denied all of the time, just the way that bisexual people have for a long time been denied how they feel and who they are. Oh, you're just confused. Bisexual doesn't exist. And that's what trans people are going through. You're just confused. You've been indoctrinated. No, we're all born this way. We're born inside. Our brains are wired. Our DNA is wired. Trans people exist. Pansexual and bisexual people exist. The gay community exists. And sometimes we need to push back on that. Now, it affected my PTSD because having my words twisted and having someone deliberately misinterpret what I'm saying so that they can be the big man. And I'm saying that because both of these people were men using misogyny and the patriarchy to exert their dominance. Those people exist no matter what the political spectrum. I argued back, I agreed to disagree, and then I blocked them. Now, there's a lot of people that I will block straight off the bat, and Threads is great for that. I have been emboldened in being myself for really the first time in a long time since Facebook started, in unapologetically being me. And I love that. I found my people. I highly recommend it. And you can find me on Threads at Craftalytical. But I argued back because someone is watching. Someone who needs to know that they exist, that they're seen, that not everyone denies who they are and their lived experience and their trauma. And one of these guys was completely denying PTSD, what it's really like to have these triggers. The word trigger has been overused. And you can be triggered in all sorts of other ways. But with PTSD, when you are triggered, it is a real physical response. And it can take days or weeks to get through that. It takes years to get to the point where you have the coping mechanisms to be able to get past it. But these situations add to our triggers, add to the flashbacks, add to the trauma. So yeah, I'm going to push back. And I am going to fight tooth and nail for the people who aren't necessarily getting involved in the comments, aren't responding, but are following me and looking to me to be a true ally. I am going to push back. Now, if you don't want to change your mind, if you don't want to be educated, if you aren't up for a good faith debate where you can change my mind on some things, not everything. I'm not going to change my mind on trans lives mattering, or that Black lives matter, or democracy needs to be upheld in every country. That there are some things that are completely wrong. They're not just against the law, but they're against natural law. You're not going to convince me. You're not going to change my mind on those things. But we can talk about education. We can talk about how we get to the place that we all need to be, how we solve the climate crisis. I am up for a debate, and you can change my mind. But I'm going to push back when you abuse others and deny their existence and their lived experience. I think we all should. Thank you for watching this all the way through. It was a bit of a rant, but I think it's really important. You can follow me on social media. All of the links are down at the bottom. If you're getting value out of what I do, give it a thumbs up. Share the video. Like, subscribe, all of those YouTubey things. But I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Have a great day.